So, John, you have had a very successful career as a pro wrestler, the mayor of Slamtown. So what made you decide to try out for Survivor?
Uh, well, first of all, I was a huge fan of Survivor in the early Survivor era. Even I gotta try to find this tape. It's somewhere in my mom's basement. I tried out or sent audition tapes in for seasons 2 and 3. They're horrible. I can't believe that I thought it would be a good idea to talk in a German accent on those tapes, which I did for some reason. It's no wonder they didn't call me. So outside of that, I feel like I spend so much time in the world of pro wrestling, and it's the thing that I'm best at. And outside of that, I also write, produce, and do a lot of TV and film stuff. But all that stuff is like kind of in the world of entertainment. It's like working on your public persona, who you think you should be in the ring to be successful is a larger than life character. It's the volume turned all the way up, and it's thinking about how you're perceived from the other side of a camera lens. And I mean, even though Survivor is a TV show, it's different. And the idea of doing something where I'm completely unplugged, no phone, no internet, and spending time with people that I probably wouldn't otherwise cross paths with, and just working on myself was very appealing.
And you went into tribal council thinking Christian will go home, that it was going to be Goliath strong. So when Davey stood up to play that idol for Christian, what went through your mind?
Literally, when Davey stood up, I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be interesting, because I still didn't at that point imagine that I was going to be the one going home. I was surprised, and those tribal councils are intense. And I like situations like that. Like, they're intense, it's nerve wracking, but they're also fun.
Mm-hmm. And as viewers, we didn't get to see the scene that explained why Christian, Davey, and Nick voted for you instead of voting for Angelina. So from your perspective, why do you think they made that decision to cast votes for both of you guys, for Angelina and for you?
I mean, classic split the vote strategy, in my opinion. Everyone knew that Dan had an idol, and figured that if an idol was played for Christian and all the Goliaths voted for Christian, and then Dan played his idol for Angelina, and they didn't split their votes, that would mean revote, and Goliath has the numbers, so their side loses. So definitely they had to split the votes. It was the most logical choice, and well, those guys. And Professor Hubicki is a very logical fellow. So then I think after that, like, it boiled down to I hadn't really talked strategy with the Davids, not even really with Christian. I had spent very little time with Davey and Nick. I was never on the same tribe as those guys, and I was probably the biggest threat then that meant to them of the remaining options for them to vote for.
And you had that famous moment of saying that there was going to be a hashtag Brochacho blindside, which came back to bite you. What do you think about the idea of voting for Christian? You didn't like that idea, right? Because you were close to him.
Yeah, I really like. I got along really well with everybody in the game. I really dig Christian though. Him and I were tight on Tribe TV. Gabby too. I like Gabby a lot too. But for what I felt was best for my game, because I felt close to Christian and Gabby, I would have preferred to, at that point, Tribe TV. Gabby too. I like Gabby a lot too. But for what I felt was best for my game, because I felt close to Christian and Gabby, I would have preferred to, at that point, keep both of them in the game. went out to were people that I didn't really have much relationship with, hadn't spent much time with, and hadn't talked strategy with.
Mm-hmm. Are you angry at all with Alec? Because Alec went and told Nick what the plan was, and then Nick, convinced Davey to use his idol. And if none of that had happened, if Alec hadn't spilled the beans, then maybe you would still be in the game.
I mean, angry at Alex for for playing the game of Survivor? No. He was doing what he thought was best for his game. I was
Mm-hmm.
bummed that it happened, and without me realizing or thinking of it as a serious possibility. But
Mm-hmm.
I also think I think Alec made a couple of moves that weren't necessarily the most logically strategic. But
Yeah.
I'm not angry at anything. I mean, this is in this when I went out. I mean, I was planning on blindsiding Christian, and he's somebody that I respect and like, and he ended up voting me out instead. So, I mean, you can't be mad about that stuff. Everyone's trying to vote everyone out, and everyone's making deals and scheming. That's what you sign up for.
Mm-hmm. Now that you're on the jury, what kind of a person are you looking for to cast your vote to win the $1 million prize? What kind of player?
The best player. It's hard to say. Now that I'm on the jury, it's there's usually the winner of a season of Survivor has a unique style, and the way they play, the way they are, and it's hard to say that specifically I'm looking for any one archetype. I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty open-minded and respect someone who's a threat physically, but also like socially and strategically. And it's hard to say because ultimately any one of those aspects of gameplay could win out over all others. And we've seen something like that happen in past seasons. So I guess I'm just looking for whoever plays the best game, not necessarily like with any bias towards social or strategic or physical.
Mm-hmm. And as a fan of the show, I mean, you've watched it on TV, and then you go out there and actually play it. What surprised you the most? And was it harder than you thought it would be?
Well, I did walk in expecting it to be very difficult. I thought that I was going to be uncomfortable walking in, and I was. Everyone's uncomfortable. It's cold, and you're starving, and it's emotionally draining a lot of times to feel like you need to be on 100% of the time, and by that I mean you're having conversations with everyone about life and real life stuff, but there's also that underlying knowledge that, hey, we're also playing this game for $1 million, and underlying these conversations, I was filtering things that I was saying because in the context of the game, like maybe I don't want to admit how I really feel about a situation in case I upset someone. So that being on 100% of the time is it's taxing on the emotions, makes you feel the feelings, and maybe I guess the most surprising thing for me was the cold. I had a harder time with the cold than I thought.
Did you go around asking people for their jackets?
No, but I will say, Natalie had a nice jacket, and I would have loved to have had the jacket.
Yeah. Well, last question, John. If they ever invite you back to come back and play again, would you say yes? And what would you do differently?
I would. I had a really good time and a really positive experience. I would definitely consider it if it fit into my schedule stuff. I left for Fiji like 36 hours after we wrapped season 4 of Lucha Underground, and the other wrestling company I work for, Impact Wrestling, of which I'm currently the Impact Wrestling World Champion, made some major schedule rearrangements for me to do the show. Thank you. The thing about leaving only 36 hours after wrapping season 4 of Lucha Underground for me was I was in like TV wrestling shape, and pro wrestling shape is like functionality, but also plus aesthetic. So it's not perfect survivor shape because I came in with pretty low body fat, and came in also eating like a a professional wrestler who's working his ass off at TV tapings, which means like 5, 6, 7,000 calories a day. If I went back, I would for sure prepare physically differently because I got hit pretty hard with the calorie deprivation from the difference of the amount of food I was eating from before and when I went in. I could make that transition a lot smoother. I'd probably put on a layer of fat to help me get through the game because burning fat is better than burning muscle for energy and brain stuff. What else could I? What do you think I should have done differently?
I think you played such a good game, and I think if you had been in the finals, you came off as so likable, and you didn't double cross anybody except for Christian in this time. But if you had made it to the end, I think you could have actually won.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot too, and I agree. That's the tricky part of the thing, though. Is like I didn't double cross anybody, but maybe if I had double crossed somebody, I would have lasted another round of tribal council.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, it's tricky, but I actually am really happy with the choices that I made regarding gameplay and the way it was portrayed on TV. I felt was authentic as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping one day you come back because you were just fun from a TV perspective. Like I wanted to see you on the screen and what you were doing, and it's going to be a little bumming that you're not on the show anymore.
Appreciate that too. But if you or anyone else is hungry for more peanut butter and Johnny, check out Boone the Bounty Hunter. It's on Netflix. It's a movie that I wrote, executive produced, and star in. It's got a combo of parkour, pro wrestling, and stunt choreo as the action scenes, but it's a real cool character. And in addition to that, you can always watch Impact Wrestling on Thursday nights. Yes, tonight, 10 p.m.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, John. We'll see you at the reunion show in like a month.
Yeah, I see. There's like I live in Sherman Oaks. The reunion is like so close to my house. It's ridiculous.